Hi, I'm Danielle Lucas. I am the Director of Construction Solutions here at Microsol Resources. We do offer a variety of services to meet your every tech need. We are available for sales, training, consulting, tech support, and ultimately to build a long-lasting partnership with you to support your success in the industry. My construction background includes working with GCs, architects, and specialty subcontractors, and ranges from project and process management, construction administration in and out of the field, and resident tech nerd. I have also done a fair amount of construction tech consulting, implementations, and staff training. I'd like to say to our clients, welcome. If we haven't met yet in person or through Zoom or the phone, thank you for being here, and I do look forward to talking with you soon. To our curious and potential clients we haven't met just yet, we can't wait to work with you. For any of you audience members that have worked with me in the past, it's really good to see you. And please, you know what you're in for. Don't tell anybody. To our students that are here today, I'm really happy to see you here. This is great stuff, and it's the future of construction tech, just like you are. So thank you again for being here. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and start out with a little bit of a love letter to PlanGrid. From my experience, PlanGrid is one of the platforms that our industry holds near and dear to its heart. It's quick, easy to use, available in the field, and it's pretty straightforward. As you know, PlanGrid is geared heavily towards the field and construction management. With that said, we now have a platform that remains easy to learn and that you can use to utilize and streamline your operations, whether you're a GC, a specialty sub, an owner, or an architect. I find that really appealing. Come along with us today for the foundational reasons I see it being not just important, but enjoyable to make this change and to benefit from all of the new and improved features. PlanGrid is now the legacy product that we've known throughout these years. Some reasons we've really relied on PlanGrid have been the capability. PlanGrid is able to be used in the field with up-to-the-minute updates on tools like Sheets, and it's been a crowd pleaser. Who doesn't always want the latest and greatest at their fingertips? Sometimes the office for the day is your truck, and the tools at hand are your phone and your tablet. PlanGrid has been wonderful for this. For your sheets, you can create custom stamps and markup, although you are limited to photos and videos for references. Tasks. This is the area we use for markups to place on sheets or manually create tasks or punch items. One area of improvement that we see in Build that's really beneficial is the report automation, while PlanGrid is manual only. When it comes to RFIs and submittals, it's a little bit of an involved process to create them in PlanGrid, and we do, again, see some streamlining in Build. No spoilers for anybody ahead, but something that drove me absolutely bananas in other platforms that I've used is the inability to bulk edit open submittals. If you had a project manager change or a project administrator change, you have first a lot of work on your hands clicking through and clacking on things to make all of those updates. And two, grumpy project administrators and engineers. Everyone, as a takeaway, make sure you toss some chocolate or a nice lunch to those project admins and engineers. You will thank me later. Documents in PlanGrid can become a bit of a file dumping ground. You have almost zero control over your permissions. It creates redundancy in areas, and you end up not being interconnected, and that you could add a photo to, say, a task that already lives in the Photos tool. It ends up kind of just being more work. So, how do PlanGrid and Autodesk Build work together? What are they? Why is this happening? When Autodesk acquired PlanGrid in 2018, it became incorporated into Autodesk Build, which brought together everything together on the cloud-based construction software, joining the Autodesk Construction Cloud. Autodesk and PlanGrid have developed the complementary construction software that Annalisa mentioned earlier, and we include those features that users know and love, along with new tools to improve operations and boost that work efficiency. Really, Autodesk Build is the next evolution of PlanGrid. It lets our construction professionals share and collaborate on all critical project information. It is that single source of truth that connects all phases of a project: design, plan, build, and operate. While PlanGrid users can use the side menu to link to photos, sheets, tasks, field reports, and submittals, Build users also access all of these, as well as new tools to use throughout your project lifecycle. One of my favorite features of Build is the ability to customize within a wide range of the available tools. While PlanGrid has been an excellent tool to connect the office and field for drawings, RFIs, tasks, and punch, it is not what could be considered a comprehensive construction management platform. Cornerstones of our successful projects like bidding, workforce management, cost, budgeting, meetings, and so on, those are all missing. Companies with small budgets and many users might just find themselves priced out of using it. Additionally, adding those pieces of functionality would require supplementing PlanGrid with other platforms. Less is more. Lastly, PlanGrid, Autodesk Build, Autodesk Docs, BIM Collaborate, and BIM Collaborate Pro are all available via the mobile application. It makes accessing your projects easy and reliable, whether you're on the job site or you're in your office. Technology is at the very core of what we all do. The projects coming into the world impact our own neighborhoods, our communities, and our lives. Being at the forefront includes easily managing all the not so easy parts of creating. All right, so we can all release a collective breath of relief here. Everything about PlanGrid that makes it a great tool has been preserved. As you browse these items, you'll kind of notice that Autodesk Build might have slightly different verbiage for each, but it's offering the same or improved outcomes across the board. Hopefully, this feature-by-feature comparison eases your mind and allows you to be excited about Build and the workflows we're going to walk through today. I want to take a minute here to just go through a few points of PlanGrid and Build side by side, of things that I've really noticed as a construction professional that have improved or I can see as a benefit to moving into Build. While PlanGrid supports 20 or so file types, Autodesk Docs is compatible with over 80, which is a huge difference. Your data management. Viewing and organizing your data is easier and more helpful with customizable data fields and the help of AI. For example, when viewing a task in PlanGrid, users can create a stamp location, see attributes and types, and then publish to a project. Build includes these features, but you now have the ability to create custom attributes. Users can also access an activity log to see a complete history of activity on items. Teams have really never had so much control over their own project data. The other point I'd like to hit on for data management is the ability to make and use templates per project type or company. I loved using templates for project setup because my companies had varied work. You would have niche projects or companies with particular requirements. So like a surgery center, anything having to do with governmental work, schools, hotels. Having the ability to templatize project setup results in quicker turnaround on project startup. You can copy a lot from previous project types. As someone I really admire in the industry has said it to me, it's like a crock pot. Set it and forget it. The beauty of it is you can do just that, but you can maintain the ability to create new as needed or make tweaks to something you've made before that's worked in the past on your new project. Reports are far more robust in Build. I have had a lot of interesting needs to report on different data sets in my years working in construction. From your routine stuff to the absolute head scratcher data retrieval, we can certainly work together to get the reports you want and need for your business. Schedule is a big thing for me. While PlanGrid has no ability to create, import, or track your schedule, Build Schedule tool enables teams to gain real-time visibility into project schedules by centralizing this information in the cloud. This allows your teams to collaborate, connect, and always interface with the most up-to-date information. We will be taking a peek at the Schedule tool a little further into the show. Finally, Connect design to construction from the office to the field. It's a true all-in-one solution that brings every aspect of your project together. The new tools available, such as schedule, forms, assets, bridge, cost, among the others, they finally answer the need for a one-stop project shop. I don't feel that there isn't a persona that couldn't benefit from having a consistent common data environment. While my thoughts go through the tools and click through how a construction team would use the platform all throughout their life cycle because of my own experience, it's really opened my own eyes to remembering that our design counterparts also really need to manage a project, track their issues, and manage costs. Luckily, the design and model collaboration pieces in Build bring everything together. Okay, enough of the upfront yapping and talking to you, and we're going to jump right into the juicy stuff. As we pull up the platforms next to one another, you'll notice really just how similar the interfaces are. Build is a familiar face with a complete makeover, and it's loaded with new features while retaining the ones that you love. We'll walk through here and you can see sheets in PlanGrid. They will remain sheets in Build. Something that I've noticed in Build that I absolutely go bonkers over is the fact that the optical character recognition, or OCR power, is by far more powerful. So having a machine that reads at like a college level or beyond is a game changer for me. You can really end up being limited in PlanGrid with your sheets and references. With Build, you can add so much more than photos and videos, and you do wind up more connected. As far as tasks go in PlanGrid, over here in Build, they're just now issues. RFIs, they remain RFIs in Build. Your field reports, you'll now be using forms. This really opens the door to create things you'll really use every day. Your business is unique, your teams are unique, and so your reporting should be as well. For your documents, that will now be files, not really a tough one to make. Photos, remain photos, and team members are really just members over in Build. There's a ton of flexibility as well with permission sets. Permissions are always that thing that we're asking about as far as security and confidentiality and who is seeing what. It's not really a black and white thing at all in Build. You can even do permission sets per tool. I get excited about it. I'd like to point out a really big key difference with Build. You're no longer limited to simply bouncing between projects like you were in PlanGrid. You now have a product picker. You can access your main platform, Build, with all of your tools available, with some things to note being your sheets, specs, meetings, correspondence, all that good stuff. Everything you're used to having close at hand. And I know, maybe you're thinking, Danielle, we do not need all these tools. I would ask you to consider a few things. What other applications are you or your team using? What other processes is everyone responsible for? And lastly, are any of those processes manual? Even if this doesn't catch your eye and you're not interested in every single thing Build has today, that doesn't mean you're not going to grow into these tools. As an industry, I know that we're always improving our process and we're looking for ways to be innovative to ultimately bring in our projects as close to budget and on time as possible. You might find these tools to be your answers for just that. So for the purist at heart, I also enjoy flexibility, and you can use this product picker to really distill it down to the tools you'll be using on a day-to-day basis. You can come in and choose, in this instance, we're going to choose Docs, and then you'll be able to work within that and the tools without all the bells and whistles. Here we can see PlanGrid on the left and the Docs module that we chose from the product picker and Build on the right. This environment brings you directly to the tools you'll be using most, such as the files, issues, reports, etc. All while still being able to easily navigate back to all of the rest of your tools. It's pretty cool, if I do say so myself. For those in the audience that have heard of Build but haven't really dipped your toes into the water, this one is for you. We're really happy that you're here, and I guarantee things are better than fine. They're great. My audience members that have seen or trialed Build before, I really urge you to give it another look. We could even do that together if you'd like. We always have a good time on some demos. As a construction lover and a tech nerd at heart, I'm really astounded at how functionally great Build has become. And I have loved hearing from industry members after they've given Build another look, and they come to me and say, holy smokes, it does this now. This is a big deal to me. I love hearing that. So a lot of things have come together to make Build what it is today. And these are my folks who do that try on again, and they're kind of shocked and saying, this is a totally different thing than when I looked at it a year or two ago. So again, really would love to have you do that. As we move into the deeper dives on select tools, Lisa Stein will be joining me to present. Lisa is the partner marketing manager with Autodesk. And prior to being a marketing guru, Lisa is a civil engineer by trade with over a decade of experience. She's an excellent resource for construction tech as she's lived it, she's taught it, and I am so happy to have her here with me today to present to you. All right, I'm going to hand this over to Lisa as she walks you through templates.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Danielle. All right. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at templates here. So the first thing that we're going to notice is that we're doing this in the account admin space. And so you're seeing this from an organizational standpoint. So in this example, I'm in the TS construction organization, and we're going to go into project templates. And so what this means is I'm going to be building templates out at an organizational level. So everything that we see in here are existing templates for my organization, again, which in this instance is called TS construction. So that means any of those projects that live in here, I can replicate the kind of the foundation or the bones of them and use them on new projects. I also could make a new blank template. So I might do that if I'm working in a new vertical or a new horizontal, haven't used that kind of project before. I might just make a standalone project, build that out the way that I want to, and then use that template for future instances. So that's one option in here. The other is to create a template from an existing project, which is what we would mostly do. So like, let's say that you do a lot of concrete work, site work, do a lot of hospital construction, whatever. You can take a project that you've already done and take all of the kind of intricacies that you built out for that and just replicate that again and again. So why this is helpful is we don't have to start projects from scratch every time, which can be a really big time suck. This also can help with project consistency. It can help to eliminate learning curves, all that good stuff. So if we go and create a brand new template, can call it whatever I want to. So in this instance, I might just call this commissioning work. So maybe we're now getting into commissioning. What I can do is take an existing project and again, take the pieces of that project that I want to replicate and save them as a template. So I don't have to do this every time. So I'm going to use this Snowden Towers project here. And now this is going to make a template again, based off of that project that I've already created. So the first place we come into is members. This is just telling me that I'm the only person right now that has the ability to do anything with this template, to change the template in any capacity. I can add other members to be template members. Those people just need to be project admins. So again, you can just see me right now in here, but I can add anybody that's a part of my organization if I want to. We also can just see general information in here. If I want this template to be available to other members in this account, then I can turn that on too, which is essentially just publishing this template. From here, we're going to go into the dropdown, and you can see I have all the different areas of a project that I might want to templatize. So a lot of flexibility lives inside of this space. But the first place we're going to hop into is docs. We can see that we can templatize files, reviews, and issues. So the first place I might want to go into is files. And here I can see the folder structure that exists in, again, that Snowden Towers project. So if I want to customize this in any way, change it in any way, I certainly can do that. But again, you can recognize that we're going to be saving a lot of time by not having to build out a folder structure. And then again, just being able to replicate a folder structure for all of our similar type projects is going to alleviate that learning curve. From here, we can add different permissions. So if I want to add permissions to the project files as a whole, I can do that. or I can set permissions on subfolders. Now you notice that we can only add roles as permissions, and that's because this is a template and we don't have any people in this project yet. But if I want to make our subcontractors have the ability to edit anything that lives in that folder, then what will happen is when I use this template to build out a project, anyone that I add to this project that has that association as a role is going to get that automatic permission. So I don't have to build that out. If we look at reviews, we can create approval workflows in here that already exist. So again, we're templatizing this. So I can say for all of our commissioning work, we always want a 3-step approval workflow. I can come in here, fill out all the approval workflow information. I can confirm those are the steps I want. I can select what role I want to be the initiator. So who can actually start the review workflow. Now, again, we're just choosing a role because we don't have any people in this project. This is simply a template. So we can create those workflows in there that we can use later for reviews. And then issues is another area that we might want to standardize. So maybe on commissioning, we've got very specific issue types that we run into. I might want to create specific categories or type for this type of work template. So I can certainly do that. I can eliminate any issue types I don't want. I can put specific root causes in there, all kinds of good stuff that, again, I don't have to build out every time. We go into the next space we're going to take a look at is forms, right? And so we can build out specific templates. I've done a lot of commissioning work in the past, so very specific forms. So maybe those all live in there. We look at RFIs, we can see who has permissions to make RFIs. Again, we're assigning that by roles. We can submit certain RFI types to live in this commissioning work. So again, we don't have to build those out every time. Again, just adding a lot of consistency and eliminating those learning curves. And other things that we can update, submittals, assets, good stuff like that. But that's hopefully a good overview of templates. And again, the reason that we really like that space is so that we don't have to build our projects from scratch every time. So I'll hand it back to you, Danielle.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. We're going to move on to document management. Let's take a look at document management. It's where all of our most relevant project information lives. So here we're in the file space. We can build this folder structure out any way that we would like to. We can set permissions for different folders, and we can do that based on an individual, a role, or a company basis. You can see that we have many different permission settings that we can allocate to those folks or roles or users that can be used on our overall project. This could also be specific for different subfolders. From here, let's go ahead and take a quick look at some drawings and models that we can house in this platform. Now, Autodesk Construction Cloud can hold over 42 different types of design files. We're going to take a quick look at a Revit file. As we pull this up, the first thing that we see is that this is version 4. Previous versions are always going to be available for you to take a look at in here, although we're going to see the latest and greatest first. Something I love is that we can do a version compare to understand what changes exist. I might look at version 4 against version 2 to do a quick comparison. And as this comes up, I'm going to see that there's over 1,300 pieces that have been added. There's 235 that have been removed, and there's not any modifications. Of course, I could dig deeper into those things if I wanted to or needed to. The best thing is that I don't need to actually have Revit or Navisworks to find that information out. I am so much more empowered in here. We can also attach issues to those models. Let's also take a quick look at a 2D sheet. So again, this is a Revit file, but we're looking at a flat 2D sheet in here. Reviewing this sheet, we can see that we can add markups and clouds, and we can put issues as well. If we have any, we can do specific types, or we can utilize templates we may have built in. So if we have a coordination issue, we just drop that issue in here, fill all of this information out, and we can assign it to somebody that's a role or a company. We can add information such as location, start date, due date, all that good stuff. If there are other references in this project that would be helpful to justify or validate it, we can attach those too. Okay, so other things in files, we can always see the version, the latest and greatest. We can see if there are markups. We can also see who last updated this information, which I think is really helpful. So again, you'll be building that out however works for you and your company. And we can also move on with our transmittals and reviews. If I wanted to grab a whole bunch of files from here, I would grab them and I could send them out to individuals. This way I can see who's downloaded it, who's viewed it, and it creates an audit trail receipt of who has received it. It's the same thing with reviews. We can create our review, see the status, see the name, any kind of workflow we've implemented, and then we can really get a good idea of the who, what, when, and where on responsibility and the next action due date. Lastly, the other thing we can see at all times in here are our issues. So it's a great space for everything to live within that one area. RFIs and submittals from Lisa.
All right, let's take a look at RFIs and submittals. So if you guys have used PlanGrid, you're probably quite familiar. First area we're going to look at is submittals. We can come in, we can create our spec sections. If we had any already uploaded, we could grab them, but we can do a mass import of different spec sections, come in here, associate them with a package or create a new package. We can use a template, right? We just looked at creating templates in the template space. So if we had templates already built out, we could certainly grab those. We can select a type of submittal that this is, and then we can assign this to a manager. We'll look at permissions in a second. It's the reason there's only one person we can grab there. We can also put any planning dates in there, lead time, critical path information, all good stuff like that. If we look in permissions and responses, these are essentially the stamps, right? So we can customize those. We can customize the different submittal types in here. Again, that's something that could be templatized. The review templates could have been made in the template portal of the account admin. But if they're not, we can certainly make them out in here and they'll live in this project specifically. If we go back into submittals, let's now take a look at packages, right? That's where those packages would live. We can create those in there, the spec section. So everything is living in there. What I do like about submittals now is that we can bulk edit. So just keep that in mind. In terms of RFIs, very similar to what PlanGrid could do, but additional capabilities. So we can go in, put all of our RFI information in there, grab a workflow. That's something we looked at in templates, but we'll look at making those in here too. Choose a due date, put the question in there, have the suggested answer. Again, we have certain people that look at the RFI before they get sent out so that we make sure we're not sending out any silly questions. Can add references, cost impact, schedule impact, the discipline. Now, I will say references is incredibly helpful in this product specifically because we can attach things like schedule, milestones, we can attach things like assets, really any other part of the project we can add. So that's a huge plus in Build. We can see all the basic general information about the RFI. We can see whose ball is in the, or whose court the ball is in. References we can add in there. And again, that activity log and audit trail is very helpful. So that's what our RFIs look like in this space. If we look at permissions, we can see that we can set permissions by a role. This is also specific to templatizing something, right? But if I want to add permissions for a certain member, I can see everybody that's in my project that I could associate a certain permission to. If I scroll all the way down here, I'll see what companies I could associate different permissions to. So maybe for Autodesk contractors, their role is, being a coordinator, right? And so we're adding them as a permission type. So these are the only people that can interact with those RFIs in those different capacities. If I want to build out a specific RFI type, again, for this specific project, maybe I want to templatize this project later, I can go in, put all of this information in here. And then again, that's something that could be replicated to save me a lot of time. If there's additional information I need to know about this RFI, I can create those custom fields. And then over here in advanced settings, do we want to be able to open RFIs? What's the visibility of an RFI after it's been closed? All that good stuff lives in there. Okay, so all the RFIs are in there. We can see the type, we can see when the due dates are, we can filter. We don't need to see all this information. We can see more information. That view is really based on you, the user, in your user interface of this platform. So if you want to see more information, that's awesome. Other people don't need to. And then of course we can filter that information out anyway too. So if we're looking, if we have more than two RFIs on a project, which we most likely will, then we can filter by type or location, or if there was a cost impact, maybe I'm just curious about RFIs that have a schedule impact. So just know that there's a lot of different ways to look at this information. And with that, I'll hand it back over to Danielle.
All right. Thank you so much, Lisa. We're going to move on to meetings. Everybody's favorite, right? So let's spend a little time talking about meetings. Your meetings tool lives inside of the build module. You can see that we've already got a meeting series here. We can always come in and create a new meeting, or we could do one as a standalone. We can also utilize a template that we might have built out within our project itself. If you want to take a peek at the different templates, we could see them here. We don't have any, but if we did, they would live in here. You can also see that items were created from meetings. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Let's go into our meetings. I'm going to go into this meeting series, which I can see centers around coordination, specifically site work. There have been 2 meetings, and they both occurred on September 9th. Going into the drop down here, we have meeting 1 and meeting 2. And maybe I'm just curious about the agenda of this meeting, so I'll go ahead and open it up. You see your date and time, and I could have created a location as well. We can see our description here, and all of this is totally customizable. We can see that there were 2 big items that were talked about during this meeting. We're looking for confirmation on the crew size, as well as the type of concrete mix we'll be using, and looking for the testing reports. Now that these are both open issues, these are things that came up during these meetings that we haven't resolved yet. If we had additional issues, we could have added them here. Additional topics can come here, and we can add a meeting summary. Any attachments would live right here. We can see that we have a screenshot, but if there's anything else you want to add, we can certainly do that. We can also add references from other components of our project. So if there are any sheets or files we want to add, they would be additions in this area, along with any other items. We would see everything that we'd uploaded right there. We can also invite specific people to this meeting too, so they can see all of this and they can be aware of what took place in that meeting. So this was meeting 1. If we go back into our meeting space, we can look at meeting 2. We can see meeting 2 has the exact same things. All right, let's do this together. When we go back and create a follow-up to a meeting, if those existing issues in the meeting before have not been resolved, they'll remain open. And they're automatically going to show up in this 3rd iteration of this meeting since we haven't closed them. It really creates a strong project history and timeline. So if I come to this meeting and we talk again, and now we're able to close these items, here we go. We now have 3 meetings. I'll do one more follow-up, making this the 4th meeting in the series. I can see when I'm creating this next follow-up meeting, those items are going to disappear because we closed them in meeting 3. If they were still set up as open or ongoing, they automatically come into this space. Now, why is that helpful? It makes sure that we don't miss anything on those topics that were front of mind and very important in our last meeting. And we have to make sure they're being resolved. It's just very important that those open issues from previous meetings are actually addressed and taken care of. This meeting space ensures that that is always the case. All right, Lisa, it's coming to you for schedule.
All right. Thanks, Danielle. Okay. Last but not least, and I think this is a really important area, especially as someone coming from the industry, not having access to a schedule is really challenging. So we do have a schedules base in Autodesk Build. You can see that the schedules live down in the platform. Now, I will say that we're not creating the schedule in Build, right? Build is simply housing the master schedule that the schedule manager is creating. So we're uploading them from either Primavera P6 or Microsoft Project, but we can always see the version of the schedule. So when a new schedule is pushed, a new iteration of the schedule is pushed from one of those schedule publishing tools, it's going to show up in here just like files, everything. We're always going to see the latest version, but we can always look back at previous versions, do version compare, good stuff like that. So we can see those big project milestones that are coming in again from the schedule. We can't edit any of the things in here, but why this is really helpful is it gives everybody in the project that has access to this space, because we can set permissions in here, the ability to see what's going on in the project, which is previously been pretty siloed and not available for folks. We can filter by information in here. If I'm looking for, milestones that have a certain start date or a certain end date, have certain resources attached to them. I can find all of that information in here. I also can look at this in different capacities. Right now, we're looking at a list and Gantt chart together. Maybe a list is easier for me to comprehend, maybe Gantt chart. Again, that's all for the specific user to kind of choose. We can add different permission settings in here. This is going to tell us like what we can do with the schedule. Just to manage access, that's just going to be more so viewers. But if I want to add people in here that can kind of customize the format of what we're looking at in terms of the schedule, then we can add those folks. But we also can see, yep, so that's just where the different versions of the schedules will live. We also have, though, the ability to add work plans. And so there's two different types of work plans. One is a standalone and the other is a connected. So we're going to build out a connected work plan right now. And that just means I'm coming into the schedule, I'm grabbing a few milestones, I'm going to connect them and put them together as a work plan. So I'm calling this subcontractor tasks. And a work plan we can kind of think of as like a specific to-do list for subcontractors. So we can see the two milestones that I grabbed from the master schedule. And if I click into them, I can actually assign them to who's responsible for them. So I'm going to look at, the details of this milestone here, and I can assign it to a company. And we'll see that when I do that, the milestone moves down to being in that company's court. Why this is helpful is, again, we can't manipulate the master schedule in the actual view of the schedule, but when we can build out work plans, we can assign people to things. This is basically like making issues and tasks for those different milestones that have to happen in our project for it to be considered complete. So we can put durations in here, we can put start dates in here. If there are subtasks to these tasks that maybe aren't mentioned in the master schedule, we can put those in there too. We can, maybe there's milestones that aren't mentioned in the schedule that we need to add in here too. So you can make standalone tasks inside of these work plans too. If there's additional things that need to be taken care of that, again, just aren't mentioned in the master schedule, we can go ahead and add them in here, and then we can associate them or tag them to a specific person. We can set permissions in here. So if the members of the schedule, the master schedule, do they get to see this, or is this a work plan that's, can only be seen by two companies that have their tasks in there? So a lot of flexibility in there. Again, you can just create a standalone work plan too. It might do that if you just wanted a way to manage your team. I think it's a little bit harder transparently to make one this way because we're not associated with any of the tasks that live inside of the project. The really big benefit of making a connected work plan is that when this schedule revises, so let's say that iteration V2 comes out, any milestones that exist in my work plans, my connected work plans, if the dates for those milestones get revised in the master schedule, new version, they're going to be reflected in that connected work plan too. And so that would be my biggest reason to really use a connected workflow is, again, just like, the docs foundational piece of Autodesk Build. If one thing gets changed, we want that relayed everywhere. That's only going to happen if we use that connected workflow. Okay. Or work plan. Sorry. I'll hand it back to you, Danielle.
Great. Thank you so much, Lisa. Schedule is such a great topic and one I could probably talk about like the rest of the day. So thank you for running us through that. Okay. So as promised, it is interaction time. We have a poll coming up from Annalisa, and we'll be asking you, what features are you most interested in? Correspondence, issues, RFIs, submittals. We'll have a second poll as well.
And we're still getting some responses back too. And about 40% have participated right now. And
fantastic. Thank you. Do we want to leave that just for another moment?
Yes, a little bit for the young last struggles. Okay, so we have about half of them participated. I'm just ending the poll now.
Fantastic.
And I can share the results with you. Let me know if you can see it.
Yes, wonderful. Okay, so yeah, these tools are really important to get into. The issues are really popular. And of course, we always want to talk about migration, which I want to go ahead and move on so we can talk about that. We have some migration wizards in the audience. Awesome. Love it. Okay. So transition. When it comes to making a change, it's going to be very company specific. You all understand your business the best and what you're trying to achieve and how and when you need to achieve it. This is where a brainstorming session with Microsol resources could be really beneficial. There's definitely not a one-size-all-fits process, but I can assure you that there is a solution. That's the good news. So some suggestions that I would want to give you today as far as making your change would be to set your date. Start all brand new projects within Build as of that date, or you can choose a certain project and say from here on out, we will be starting everything in Build. You also have the bridge tool within Build to move your PlanGrid as built exports over to Build for archiving purposes. There's a separate tool called the Autodesk Replication tool, and you can use that to move BIM 360 product information over to the Construction Cloud. You can leverage ACC Connect. That's going to use APIs to pull data from one product to one another. And hopefully this is the one that sends a shiver down the spine is the manual, but there are several ways to manually extract your information and bring it into the ACC. There are also native solutions within the ACC and the tools to assist in pulling out your information. Again, would love to talk more about that. Some additional considerations to make when you're thinking about moving over. You're going to be moving over your uploaded data. Info, that'll be anything that's added to your project via an upload. It's pretty self-explanatory, but for an example, it would be a file or a sheet. You'll also have generated data, items that were created with native tool within a product. It's a fancy way of saying like a submittal or an RFI. Your setup data, that would be anything that serves as a standard, whether it was uploaded or generated in product. So we're really talking about workflows, templates, and permissions here. And finally, your user data, things that would be associated with specific users. So their company, role, or name. All right, I've been in your shoes. And so I want to spend just a minute or two to acknowledge that while everything that we've presented today is really exciting, it's also a lot. Microsol Resources is here and available to partner with you throughout your transition from PlanGrid to Build and so much more. That process does not have to be overwhelming or daunting. Our team will meet with you to perform extensive discovery and to plan a customized solution that will relieve you of the stress that comes along always with making changes. From setup to training to ongoing troubleshooting, we have you covered. We will work together to truly understand your processes, the obstacles, and the vision for your company and business. You never have to do that heavy lift on your own. At the end of the day, we're here to find the best solution for you in the way and on the timeline that you need most. Lisa, what would you say some advantages that Autodesk sees with partners like Microsol working with our clients?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Danielle. So our partners are fantastic because they really are those trusted advisors. They will sit down with you, understand where your business currently is, really dig into those pain points, where you're maybe struggling with efficiencies and strategies, and help you map out with a really very detailed and good and helpful documented discovery of where you are and where you want to get to and what that would look like. They're also so good at just understanding what you're willing and able to take on right now, so they're able to build out kind of a plan for you that feels really comfortable and is at a speed that's really good for you. But we also call them the feet on the street, right? Because our partners are typically located where you are. They can get to you fast. They can be in person with you. To me, I think that really helps to build trust and relationship just much better. So yeah, our partners truly are trusted value solution providers. So we love them.
Thank you. And we love Autodesk. We appreciate that.